folks, it's Amy from Colorado Mountain Living, and as you can see, we're back to the front of the house. Now I know we were just on the back side, but I wanted to tell you a little bit about the other style of siding that we're doing called board and batten. So that's what's going to go around the front door here. It's more of a vertical planking, and with skinnier planks covering the overlapping the gap between the boards. So it kind of adds another dimension of style to the house, and I'll show you what the boards look like up close. So right here you can see I've got 10-inch boards that I've stained. They need a second coat, even though they look kind of decent in the according to the camera, but they need to get a little bit of a shiny coat on them. And we're really down to the last few boards here. So one problem we've had is that the boards, some of them are a little bit warped and a little bit bowed. These look okay, but there's some that I've got over at leaning against the house there that a little bit more of a rainbow to them. So anyway, we may have to pick up an additional board, maybe at, store or something like that. Next to them are I guess these are the battens. These are what goes over the gap. So they're a little bit longer. These boards are, I think they're 8 feet, the wide batten boards, the wide boards, and then the battens I think are more like 10 feet. So they span a little bit higher. Unfortunately, not exactly high enough to go from the ledge all the way up to the eave, so we've been doing some trimming. But I wanted to show you what, we haven't gotten to this side just yet. Brian just worked on the door a little bit before he took off on his mountain bike ride. But I wanted to show you how things turned out on the back side of the house, because we did this board and batten on the back side and finished that up over the weekend. As you can see over here, we're all set up to do the siding on this northeast side of the house, and we decided to do a less expensive siding, just more like plywood. We'll stain it because eventually this is going to get attached to the rest of the house, so we don't need to really spend the money on the nicer siding because it'll get covered up anyway. So we're definitely going to save there, but we probably will have to order a little bit of siding just for this section right there. I think we're about out, and we'll probably have to order just a little bit more to finish that section, because that's going to be the regular horizontal siding, the Douglas fir siding. So anyway, let's take a look at the board and the batten on the back side of the house. So what goes on first are the wide boards, and they get some spacing in between them, as you can see here. And then we got to extend the trim to the top above the window because the boards aren't long enough. Well, making progress on the siding, starting to see what it's looking like with the board and batten getting installed. So Brian's got some of the wide boards on there, working on the corner piece right here. It's a little bit twisty, so he's adding that pipe clamp to help hold it into place before he drills it into place there. So you can see where the boards stop. We got to put a little bit of some extensions on there, and then over the cracks is the batten piece that will go on next. And then we'll be able to move on to the side here. So this side, we decided to change up the siding a little bit because eventually this side of the house is going to become an interior, because this is where phase 2 attaches. So there'll be a cutout as a walkway, but most of this wall will be interior. So Brian's thinking that doing like a plywood siding for now would be adequate, because it's not our permanent siding. Still stain it and everything, but it doesn't have to be as robust as the Douglas fir we're using right now. Well, the sun's getting low, but Brian's making progress extending the boards above the window there. So you're kind of getting a sight of what it's looking like, all lengthened, and then a couple of battens going up. So that's starting to finish off the look. And for adding on those batten pieces, he's using a finish nailer, so you actually don't see the nail heads on the finished siding. So it's kind of a nice feature there where you're not really seeing shiny nail heads on these little skinny boards. But you're starting to see the final look come together here as he's putting these pieces on top of each other. And just like that, we're done with this side for now. Got to put the window trim in, and got to finish this little corner up here once we get our lift. Brian's about to add some caulk to a couple joints up there. About to move our ladder and our pump jack to this side. We'll make our way around. I think moving pump jack scaffolding is an art form. Brian's kind of got it down. He's got a system with a rope, and we just kind of, well, we move it into place and then we kind of yank it up with the rope. So keeps things pretty stable from flying and flapping around all over the place. But we'll be happy that this is the very last side that we need to have scaffolding on, because we're ready to send it back to our neighbor's house. So we moved the scaffolding over to this side, and since we don't have our plywood yet to do that siding, we're going to go pick that up today. Brian moved over to that front corner there where he's working on the trim for the front door. So trying to get in a little bit more work before it rains. It's starting to rain right now, but he wanted to get that trim ready so we can put up some of those boards if it doesn't start raining too hard, because we got some more that are stained we can finish up before we move on right to this side right here. So it's our last little corner on the house that we're working on the siding, finishing it up, wrapping it around. Too curvy?
Yeah.
Oh, you mean the cut, when you cut it?
Yeah, just cut that. It's not a lot, it's probably an inch and an inch. 3/16.
And once the trim is around the door, then it's pretty much ready to go. We can start putting up siding boards and getting that side done for the board and batten.
So it's definitely a nice look. It has a nice contrast to kind of break up the sections of the house with a different style of siding. And actually, I think it's really nice. It's a lot more time efficient than the horizontal siding, at least for like the placing and the nailing. It went a lot faster. Of course, it was a big cutout for the window, so we didn't have quite as many boards, but it definitely was something that was done. We did it in like a day or two, so quick weekend job to do one side here. So hopefully be able to wrap up the other side without too many more days. And, once we get the siding wrapped up, we'll be moving down to the basement siding with the steel. So I think we'll probably just finish up all the wood siding first before we get to that steel siding. And then Brian's been doing more research about the idea of doing log home as our next addition in phase 2. He's been doing some research on the different types of logs. He wants to do more of the square log, and he wants to do more of a dovetail, so it's a lot more tighter, more efficient, higher rated logs for our value, apparently. Still doing a lot of research on it, so it's not a decision we're making this year even. We're just getting all our facts straight, and probably going to be checking out some of the styles around the area to see how they look, how people have been able to match two different styles of house design and housing build. So anyway, so that's that's that, and we're gearing up for the end of summer. Luckily around here, most of the trees are still green leafed, so we're not fully on into the transition of fall. The temperatures seem pretty mild for the rest of September, definitely upper 60s for like the entire month. Some of the evening temperatures are dropping to the 40s, so it's going to be cooler for sure, but it's not quite fall yet, so we're holding on to summer really tightly. Also, we might be having some guests come at the end of the month, trying to get Dad out here to see if he's available to help put on our deck. So that would be another great project to get done before the winter time. Maybe wrap up a few things on the inside as well. The other thing we're getting a quote on right now is getting some grading done on the driveway. We're going to probably get some gravel dumped in. We're going to be working on the sides of the driveway to get that ready for winter, and probably a little bit of backfilling going on around the septic. So trying to get things ready before everything gets really cold and hard to work with outside. And then for the winter, we can move on to the indoor projects that we can't wait to finish, like the shower, the stairwell, and little, all the trim pieces, all of the wood trim that's going to be inside. We have a lot of the baseboards. We just need to kind of prep that and get it ready, but no rush to do inside work when there's plenty of outside work to do. So anyways, I wanted to give you guys a little update on how the board and batten turned out on this section of the house. We'll probably finish that back up when Brian gets back from his mountain bike trip. He left this morning, very excited to have fun for the week, and he's going to ride hundreds of miles through Colorado and enjoy the scenery up in the mountains. So that will be good for him. I need to check on the bees and make sure they're getting ready for winter. So plenty of work to do around here, guys. We will catch you on the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.